I'm Johnny Mac, and today is Robin Williams Stories Part 2. If you missed Part 1, that is the previous episode in the feed from yesterday. From August 31st, 1981, New York Magazine, the headline, Mork meets Garp. Robin Williams speaking. Yeah, I see the moments when I watch a tape. I'm wondering what's going to happen next, whether something's going to work, whether it'll connect. You're up to the last moment before you go off the diving board and you realize now gravity works, and you have a choice of going with it or checking it. I just love to play and put things together. The thing I love is to improvise when something just forms in front of me. I work with Jonathan Winters on one of the Mork and Mindy shows, and when you see him, you realize he does that kind of improvising just to keep himself going. The writer and Robin leave the restaurant, and they're looking for a cab, and they see Dom DeLuise. Dom DeLuise hears Robin Williams is heading to Catch a Rising Star, says he may drop in. He eventually does not. Outside of Catch, Williams immediately spots a few of his comedian friends. Someone tells him a joke, and Robin's laugh is loud enough to be heard down the block. Rodney Dangerfield is there, too. Rodney says, Robin, I hear you did something very crazy at a benefit in Woodstock. You dressed up like a moth? Robin just says, are you going on, Rodney? Rodney, yeah, I'm going to read a few jokes. Why should I try them out in my own club? When Rodney's introduced, the applause explodes. Big time stuff, a star, but he only does so-so. About half the gags click. One of the jokes, my wife has figured out a way to stop me from biting my nails. She hides my teeth. I'm so ugly, my dog shuts his eyes when it humps my leg. The audience is still unaware that Robin Williams is there. After another act, Robin is announced. Jubilation. A woman can't believe it and keeps repeating Robin's name to her boyfriend. From 1988, Good Morning Vietnam, which doesn't sound so long ago. This from the New York Times. They wrote, suddenly Good Morning Vietnam is a smash hit, and Robin Williams was coping with this information as might be expected. The star of the film said he was appropriately delighted, but being Robin Williams, of course, he also used the occasion to lapse effortlessly into a manic impression of Elmer Fudd as Mayor Koch. That was the New York City mayor back in the day. He switched into an impression of Crazy Eddie. That was a discount store guy in New York City who used to say his prices are insane. Robin did Crazy Eddie as the president. And then he switched into an imitation of Sammy Davis Jr. doing Hamlet. I won't attempt the impression, but the quote here cracks me up. Robin said, oh, you know, what a piece of work is a man, how noble in reason, and I really mean that, sincerely. These are days of vindication for Robin Williams, who in 7 films has never had a blockbuster until now. Robin said, until this role, the acting and the comedy have been pretty much separate on screen. It was the potential to do improv that attracted Robin to the role in the first place. Part of the art of the filming was having a restrained Robin Williams. Robin said director Barry Levinson would say, you don't have to be funny here. And Robin said, in the past, I used to think I'll push it. I'll make it funnier. At this stage in life, Robin had been in psychotherapy for a year. He called it open heart surgery in installments and said he thought it helped his performance, saying it allowed me to show more vulnerability, and I think the camera can catch that. I think therapy has helped me bring out a deeper level of comedy. Robin Williams observed that in the movie industry, success moves you up in the food chain. There's a food chain of scripts, and success can give you access to better scripts. From 1992 in the New York Times, At Home with Robin Williams, good for a laugh, not a bad listener. It's 7 o'clock. Robin has just returned home from taping the Arsenio Hall show. His 2 younger children are scampering and laughing in the hallway. Robin Williams, wearing a black shirt and baggy pleated pants, steps in the living room, sits wearily on a footstool. He has jet lag from a London flight earlier in the day. He hasn't had time to unpack. And he said, the land is so nice. Pools in the back, tennis courts in the front. There's even a tree house, which is for rent, a sublet, and he smiles. He's renting the house for a year. Robin said, I make raids to L.A., sort of like Mosby's Raiders. I love working here. I like the business, but living here is very strange, surreal. You imagine purgatory, something like this, except not such good parking. It's always, how am I doing? Where am I on the food chain? Let's make a deal. I just feel safer in San Francisco. Here, it's like being a hemophiliac in a razor factory. The publicity about events leading to his second marriage stirs fury. He cites an article in People from several years ago that depicted Marcia as the nanny who broke up his first marriage. Robin says tensely, it was an ambush by them. It's very destructive. It still is. There are still nanny jokes. You want to go out and yell. There was an article about men who leave their wives when they become famous, and I wanted to write to this man and say, listen, you may have your ridiculous theories, but the truth is, my wife left me. My marriage had been in shambles for some time. Marcia just basically started to talk to me and said, listen, jerk, what are you having these ridiculous affairs for? What are you yelling and screaming about? Wake up. Slowly, I began realizing I'm a decent person. Everything wonderful that has happened to me in my life is because of her. It's hideous that she takes the rap as a homewrecker, which is a lie. It's the exact opposite. She is taking me from zero to the sky. The doorbell rings. Billy Crystal enters. And he says, don't I know you from a rooming house in San Francisco? In May 2014, Robin Williams was told that he had Parkinson's disease, news that stunned and overwhelmed Robin. Even more crushing is the possibility that Robin was misdiagnosed. An autopsy would later reveal that he actually had Lewy body dementia, an aggressive and incurable brain disorder that has an associated risk of suicide. In 2018, Vanity Fair wrote an article inside the final days of Robin Williams. They wondered, what did Robin still get out of doing what he was doing, and why did he feel the compulsion to keep doing it? He'd already enjoyed nearly all the accomplishments that one could hope for in his field, tasted the richest successes, won most of the major awards. Every stage of his career had been an adventure into the unknown, an improvisation in its own right, but there was truly no roadmap for where he was now. Everything came to an end at some point. It was a reality he accepted and confronted so often in his work, even as he tried to outrace it. What would it look like for him, he wondered, when he wrapped things up and told the crowd goodnight for the last time? How could it be anything other than devastating? The work was less abundant than it used to be and nowhere near as lucrative, and so much of it seemed to be focused on finality, particularly in the form of death. In August 2012, he appeared in an episode of Louie, written by and starring Louis C.K., that begins with both men meeting at the grave of a comedy club manager who recently died and whom they both privately despised. Louis tells Robin, "When he died, I felt nothing. I didn't care, but I knew when I pictured him going on the ground and nobody's there, he's alone. It gave me nightmares." Robin replied, "Me too." Robin Williams died on August 11th, 2014. You can follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.